Yeah.
And it's so easy.
It is. It is. Yeah.
I still use the levelator. Still works.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah.
And if I don't have that, or if that doesn't work, then I use a Phonic.
Okay.
And that's an online app that you can just process your audio through.
Yeah.
And it sounds great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's, and nowadays, if you record at 24-bit, you can bring up, as long as you're not like, some of the files that I get from On Location are just like way down there. Like they're at like minus 40 kind of levels. And you're just like, and you try to bring it up and you're bringing the noise floors up and all that sort of stuff. And you're like, come on, you guys, don't you know how to get levels?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you ask the actor to talk before you got them to start, you start to hit record? It's like, oh,
I
guys.
hear most people are clueless about that.
Yeah, but these guys are like the sound guys that they hire. You're like,
yep. I guess because they're reliable or confident. I'm not sure.
I guess.
I did some audio for a couple of YouTube things, and the producer is very pleased that all of my audio was absolutely spot on, perfect, and that anybody else he used wasn't. But for some reason, I still didn't get the call back whenever he needed
like,
some people to do audio. So, okay, I guess personality over audio. I don't know.
I guess. Damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's funny.
Yeah. Funny stuff.
Listening to the Little Music Industry with David Andrew Weeb.
Well, welcome to Inside Home Recording. Not really, but I'm sitting here with Dave Chick, Hatch Productions.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's really great to be chatting. I do think this is the first show I've done in person with anybody for the New Music Industry podcast. So
really?
I think so.
Wow.
Not for my last podcast, obviously. You know, I had a co-host and Anna was there, and we would do things in person, and I also had a lot of musician friends and venue owners and things like that come over to my house to do interviews. But yeah, once I got into the New Music Industry podcast, it seems like I'm not sure if I've done maybe one or two, but I'm not sure if I've done any interviews in person yet.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I remember doing those over Skype and having to.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me your audio file and I'll try to match it all up later.
Oh, I've had to do that too, and that's a real pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to come all the way out to Vancouver to do it. So.
Yeah. Welcome to Vancouver too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
well,
geez.
thank you. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's been about 6 years since we chatted. I just thought it was not great that if people search for Inside Home Recording that they wouldn't be able to find anything. So I put up a blog post saying, here's my experience. And I was a big fan, obviously. I loved it. Loved being on it, too, for the few episodes that I was.
Yeah. It was good fun while it lasted. But it was one of those things where it's just got to the point I got too busy to do it.
Yeah.
And the production that we had to put in, like Paul and Derek had put into it, and I just had to continue on with it took up a lot of time. And to be able to do it weekly, and then it got down to bi-weekly, and then it was monthly, and it was like,
Yeah, I know. And you don't even think about this kind of stuff when you're doing the first 5 episodes or 10 episodes. You're so excited to do it and you're enjoying it. And then suddenly at some point it becomes this massive burden that you have to produce one a week or one a month or whatever frequency.
Yeah. So. The shiny little glow of enthusiasm definitely wanes.
It really does over time.
Yeah. So and that was one of the things where I don't know if you know, there's this, it used to be a podcast based here called The Bunker Project. And it was this guy named Bob Garlick, and I'm just spacing on the other host's name. But anyways, that was the same sort of thing. They basically were they got in a room, they just did it on the fly kind of thing, and were able to, record, download, upload, edit, gone kind of thing. Whereas with IHR, it was basically
way more editing.
You had all the segments, you had all the little bumpers in the segments and all that kind of stuff. And then they did it with I don't think they still do this, the enhanced podcast where they would actually put the graphics in synced with the audio and stuff. So if you're watching on your iPod, it was an iPod back then.
I used to do that.
Yeah. All the graphics would come up with and that was a pain in the ass to do.
Oh yeah, no, that's a ton of work. Even when I'm just making videos that are comprised of, stock photos and stock footage of video, it's still a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I have the utmost respect for video editors after I've tried it a couple of times and watched people do it.
I'm pretty sure I'd even reached out to Paul and James, but no comment. I mean, I'm sure they're busy in their respective careers and everything they're up to, but, hey, one way or another, I paid tribute to the show, so there you have it.
I think it's still up on Stitcher if you want to really find it.
Oh, good. Yeah. I might have to do that. Download the episodes that I was on and keep them for posterity.
There you go.
Absolutely. I mean, I took so many detours from that point on when right around the time that Inside Home Recording stopped, I got into business and I ended up learning a ton about business.
Yeah.
I got into a couple of network marketing companies that I did not stay in. And, some people experience massive success in that. I guess it just wasn't for me, but... Yeah,
well, it's those kind of detours that sort of focus you in on where you want to go.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think there's value in the circuitous route.
Yeah.
I've been hearing more of that lately, and I'm like, you know what? That's cool. I get to discover different perspectives, different skills, different experiences that I can just add back into what I'm doing.
Well, that was the whole circuitous route thing was exactly what I did when I initially wanted to be a music teacher, and I went to college for that, and got to the end of the degree, and it was like, I don't know. It's not, because that was the thing when, like, back in like the late 80s, early 90s, you go into the guidance counselor and it's like, what are you interested in? Oh, music. Well, the only two careers that are available to you as being a performer or music teacher. It's like, okay, I guess I'll be a music teacher because I don't really like, I like practicing, but I don't like it that much. And so, when I got to the end of the degree, I was like, I don't know. Like, there's all these cutbacks happening, and I was going to be I'd go to teacher's college, and I'd be like a substitute teacher for like 5 years, and like, what kind of career is that?
Yeah.
So I went off to business school, and I was a consultant for like 10, 12 years.
Wow.
And I got to my last job in business, in air quotes, was with the Experience Music Project in Seattle, which was opened by Paul Allen. And there I was able to get exposed to a whole bunch of people in different, realms of the music industry, technology, performance, artist management, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, boom, like my head exploded. Like, there's so much you can do, and like real alternative things in music and art and so on and so forth. So that was sort of where the wheels started turning of like, how can I get back into music? And by then kids were coming along, and it was like, okay, I can't be a touring musician. I can't be a sound engineer that goes out there and tours with a band. What else can I be? And that's when sort of like film composing came up as a creative outlet, a creative career that I could do, where I could actually stay at a home base and actually work from home. So that was about, I don't know, 12 years ago. There's health issues and stuff that pushed me in that way, but that's where it was. And that's the thing I keep on trying to extol to my kids is like, there's so many other careers out there.
Tons.
And even if you go and choose a degree or a path right out of school, 9 times out of 10 that's not what you're going to be ending up doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, people these days have transitions, right?
Yeah.
9 to 10, I think is the latest stat, and maybe that's even higher now. So,
yeah.
I mean, I take it for granted that people are going to be shifting things every 3 to 5 years, probably.
Totally. Yeah. I say, like, be open to that. You never know where the path's going to go. You follow it. It's good to have a plan and stuff like that. But if you see an opportunity that comes up and you can take advantage of it, and it's not going to set you back a few steps and stuff like that, go for it. Yeah, you never know where it's going to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk a lot about the music business on the podcast, but actually business consulting was the one thing I was told not to get into.
I wouldn't recommend it to any musician,
No. I was told, actually, you can help people with career transitions. And that's actually a great way of framing what I do, is help people kind of achieve a degree of freedom in their life to engage in more music.
Yeah.
I helped my friend Liam do that very thing, and he's really killing it out there. So it's awesome. Yeah. I'm actually wearing the band's t-shirt today, the Middle Coast.
The Middle Coast, yes.
They're not together anymore, but Liam is still making music. So
I like the gingham tablecloth there. That's pretty cool.
Some really, really sharp kids. I mean, I call them kids, but they're getting to be mid-20s, late 20s. But
oh my God, yeah.
Not that anybody would know at my age looking at me, but
yeah, no, it's. I'm so wholeheartedly on that as well. Is be open to the transition, and don't think of it as a failure or you're going down a dead end path or anything like that. Everything's a learning opportunity, and you just sort of got to take advantage of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom there.
Hey.
I like that. That's a tweetable, I'm sure.
Tweetable. I like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I totally believe that. I think all the experiences just added. Some days you wake up and you're like, 800 posts later on Music Entrepreneur HQ. Whoa, how did that happen? Or 10 years in podcasting. I wasn't even thinking about it last summer, and that's when I hit the 10-year mark. So,
oh my God, yeah.
I'm working on a big 10-year, reflecting on 10 years of podcasting episode right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, but obviously that's compiling a lot of lessons and maybe a few audio clips. I'm not going to go too crazy in that regard. But
well, when you told me you were like way over like 200-300 podcasts and stuff, I was like, whoa, wow.
Yeah, it's got to be close to 400 now. I mean, I took a little bit of a break in there. I think it was 2014, 2015-ish. But the original run of David Andrew Weed podcast, which got renamed several times, got to be about 120, 130 episodes.
Yeah.
And then the current show, we're inching closer and closer to 200 esporads.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, thank you. And I've published sporadically, or I've changed the publishing schedule multiple times.
Yeah.
Originally it was monthly, and that was I felt like that was actually super manageable. And eventually that became weekly, and then it was 2 a week when I launched the new podcast. And
wow. And that's ambitious.
Mostly kept up with a weekly schedule since then. But I think 48 episodes a year is kind of the average.
I can see that. Now people are getting into seasons and stuff, and taking breaks and stuff, like they're basically following the TV schedule, like doing 13 episodes and taking a break. And
originally I was thinking that, and I think I was 13 episodes in. I'll have an episode 0, so it's kind of 14 episodes in. And at that point, I took a break because I was like, well, 14 episodes, we'll call that a season and see where things go from there. But once I picked it back up, I just kept with it. Didn't really take a break. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. But I think the things that you're speaking to, I mean, we want to go down all those rabbit trails, and it is talk, it's the namesake of my book, The New Music Industry. So of course we're here to talk about that.
Sweet.
That very thing. And even before we got on recording this particular episode, we chatted a lot about the changes that are happening and everything that's going on. So
yeah. Taking I guess taking a look at it from outside, like the typical recording artist and so forth, and sort of watching the industry change from a very controlled pipeline to more open, smorgasbord, if you will, of choices. It's from a consumer standpoint, it's been like a godsend. That I think that was one of the things the death knell that Napster sounded was that people really wanted to be able to have convenience, variety, everything at their fingertips.
Yep.
And it was really that point was where I think the record industry made its big first stumble, was to sort of look at that as a threat that they needed to squash rather than an opportunity they could exploit.
Yeah.
And you've gotten to the point now where the consumer has this gem in their hands, and they're not going to let go.
Yes,
so
definitely.
People are artists, complaining about. I feel for them that they're not, making money from their music, but that landscape has changed, and they've got to be able to figure out, how can I make music, or how can I make money from my art when I cannot commoditize, or I cannot leverage my music as a product as effectively as I used to, kind of thing. So yeah, it's unfortunate that they're in that position, but it's the reality now.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's an excellent starting point, Napster. I mean, the next big thing was Steve Jobs announcing the 99-cent song.
Yep.
Suddenly songs cost exactly 99 cents.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they became free, in effect.
Yes, essentially, yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's amazing that we actually get rewarded for something that's effectively free in a way. But to your point, I do feel that a lot of musicians still want to rely on that one song or that one single. And I often ask them, have you done the math on what it would be to make $3,000 off of one song?
Right. Yeah.
And on a 99-cent song, you're probably making royalties, if it's from iTunes, then 60 cents.
Yeah.
So how many do you have to sell? Well, it's over 3,000.
Yeah.
Do you have a fan base that's going to support you that way, or are they just going to go to Spotify, YouTube, Deezer, Tidal to stream it?
Yeah, but also to that is like the supply has grown exponentially out there.
Yeah,
and so
no doubt.
From a consumer standpoint, it's different in the fact that they're not receiving that controlled pipeline of, thou shalt listen to these artists that are released on such and such a label. It's so much more democratized out there that the consumer is able to look at the music choices in front of them and say, I've got infinite number of substitutes for such and such an artist. So if you are going to charge me even 10 cents for a song when I can get a subscription and get all these other ones over here, well, I'm going to go over here because I'm not going to bother with you, which, again, I feel for you as an artist, but how do you stand? Like, that's the challenge now, is that you are in now a sea of like 100 times more artists than you were like 20 years ago, when the heyday of the music industry, where CD sales were king and so forth, and the pipeline was so tightly controlled. Choices weren't there.
Yeah. So
you were able to make that money. Whereas now, if you get a few streams and stuff off your music, that's what you get.
Exactly. And I mean, loyalty is a really tough thing.
It is a very tough thing. Yeah.
That's kind of what you're hinting at there. I think it's important for artists to just diversify their bundles, their packages, their performance. You can have a product that's 99 cents, sure. Yeah. But how about having a package that's $50, $100, $1,000 that people can buy off of you, and that way you're not reliant on your music being streamed 100,000 times or bought 3,000 times or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I totally agree. I also want to sort of point out that I'm not a music artist and I have not released an album, so I'm speaking out of my ass here.
Yeah. But I imagine you have produced a few artists, right? And people come here to record occasionally.
Yeah. They have, and it's a tough game. I wouldn't really want to be in it.
Right.
I kind of like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
being able to deal with directors and producers and basically writing stuff on spec for, well, not really on spec, but collaborating with them to produce something that fits with their art.
Yeah.
And being paid appropriately.
and you know, I guess you were showing me some stuff earlier, and really you're kind of a crafts person, and that kind of attitude towards music is becoming rare, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is these days. I mean, understand why it is the case that they throw on a drum machine, play a few synths, layer the vocals, and that's your track. Like, there's no more time in the studio, there's no more budget, there's no more money to be spent. We just got to get the next single out there, and that's it. You don't get anything extra.
Yeah.
So, but compared to that, what you're doing is still very much rooted in the art of sound design and composing and music.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a career that I'd never thought I'd be able, I'd do, and it's. I quickly realized that writing music for film was going to open up so many more creative doors than I would have imagined. You know, you think of the typical John Williams or the Danny Elfmans or what have you, Hans Zimmer's, where your film music is orchestral music, and there's some of that in there, and I'm called upon to do that every once in a while, but there's so many genres, you don't know what the director's going to throw at you, and I've gone into down so many avenues, musical avenues, that you never would have imagined going down. You know, I grew up on, you know, basically 80s pop music, hair metal, you know, started going into prog rock and that kind of stuff. And I never went into like Bollywood stuff or atonal stuff or what have you. But, you know, that's what the director wants. And you basically are just like, okay, I'll figure out how to do it and get into it, and you know pull something out of your ass, and that's what comes out, kind of thing. And it's been very interesting to look at music and create music that is totally new, and it's so inspiring to be able to do that kind of stuff, and basically, you know, soak up a director's vision and so forth and be able to run with it in a direction you never would have imagined.
It sounds like we have a lot of, similar tastes as far as music is concerned. Because, I love the 80s pop and the hair metal. And I mean, I like great hair metal, let's put it that way. There's some hair metal that was so, overdone that I just never really dug it. But, you know, Van Halen, we'll say, is maybe the original hair metal band. I love Van Halen.
Yeah, they got lumped in there, unfortunately.
Yeah. They were more of the modern day Led Zeppelin. Basically. They're continuing that tradition very much. And Extreme I loved, and Harum Scarum is still making music. Yeah. They're fantastic. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how the marriage of Extreme and Van Halen didn't work out.
It's funny you say that. I was just reading an interview with Gary Sharon the other day about this very thing, and I think it was an interview from 2012. But, I mean, Gary sounds like the nicest person in the world. He would have done anything in that situation, and he says he could still see himself writing with Eddie. So maybe we can hope, but I wouldn't mind. It's just the album really didn't do what it needed to do. I felt like the tour, I mean, Gary's in his element when he's on stage. He's an incredible performer. But
I saw them down at the Gorge in Washington on that tour, and that was a good show. It was a really good show. But I could see where it was going. Like, I think the friction between Gary Sharon and Nuno in Extreme was
just unbearable.
It was unbearable, but I think they fed on it, and that's what sort of, like, you know, Porno Graffiti was that was sort of like the pinnacle, and then Extreme 3 came out. That was a pretty good album too, but
it was ambitious, but it had some really great moments.
And I don't know, I think they pushed each other, whereas I think with Van Halen, the third iteration of Van Halen with Gary at the helm, it was he it wasn't like he's dialing it in, but I think Eddie sort of let him be in his comfort zone, didn't really push him.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of felt.
Definitely. I think that was almost mutual. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Gary didn't push Eddie hard enough, and Eddie didn't push Gary hard enough.
Yeah.
I imagine there's some philosophical differences between Gary and Nuno, and that's maybe where they clashed and conflicted, I would imagine. Yeah. I love Nuno as a guitarist. He's incredible. I followed everything that he did. Once he got to Rihanna, that's a different story. I don't fault him for going and taking that gig at all. Like, not at all.
Yeah.
I don't like Rihanna's music that much, so
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. so there you go. But yeah, I love that conversation, and Gary's actually done some interesting side projects over the year as well. Hurt Smile, which I didn't know about until just the other day. So
yeah. And then Extreme Drummer with Dream Theater now, and
oh wow,
that's cool. Yeah, I never saw that coming.
No, is that Kevin Figueiredo, or is it the original Extreme Drummer?
I think it was the original Extreme Drummer.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
It starts with an M, I believe. Anyways,
yeah. Oh, Mike Mangini, of course.
Mike Mangini, yes,
of course, yeah, because Mike Mangini was on the fourth Extreme album.
Oh, was that
before they disbanded?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think. Well, there was another really great drummer that played with the Mourning Widows, which was one of Nuno's side projects. Okay. I want to say it was Mike Mangini, but could be wrong.
Oh, well.
That was also a cool little side project, too. That incorporated some alternative elements. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So you get to geek out on that a bit. That's fun. So the filming and composing gig, like, that's been something very steady for you for how long now?
I've been doing this for about 12 years now, and it's really sort of come to fruition in the last 5 years, where it's been pretty steady kind of stuff. It's not like I know 3 months out exactly what I'm doing, because the projects, you're basically waiting for. Well, you might be called in pre-production, and who knows whether or not that actually gets off the ground into production. But it's usually they do a production, and then they'll have anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months editing, depending on how timelines go and so forth. And then when it gets out of editing into a locked picture, it's like, okay, now we need to compose, and you need to start. So it's never really, unless you're working on like a syndicated series or like a big movie house kind of stuff. But most of the independent film stuff is pretty loosey-goosey schedule. So, but it always seems as though once I'm finished a project, I've got another one or two that are coming up, kind of thing. So it's been pretty good.
That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the kind of thing where sometimes they want to work with you and sometimes they don't, but you just gotta roll with it.
You do, and I think we talked about this earlier. Was that it's all basically relationship building, and I think that's what sort of takes up the time, and
it really does.
Yeah, people getting into the industry, at least film composing and any sort of other specialized departments in the post field, you got to realize it's not you put your shingle out and people will come kind of thing, and it's not you can put out your music clips and so forth. That will get you so far, but it's really the relationship you have with the directors and the producers that are in the industry, and you just got to get out there, press the flesh, take people out for coffee, talk with them, hook up on social media, and just really take advantage of those networks on a personal level.
Yeah.
If you come at it from a strictly business standpoint of, I need to come in here, get on this gig, get a check at the end, and I'm out kind of thing, that's not going to work. It's not going to fly. It's the directors and producers. It's a very not emotionally charged, but people are very vested from a deep feeling of they're attached to this project, and they really have deep feelings about it. Yeah. And if you come in with very callous business standpoint of this is a transaction, it's not going to rub people the right way. So yeah, being able to stick with it, believe in yourself, and just keep dusting yourself off, it's like there's always room to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Matt Starr came on to my show and talked about this very thing. And he's drumming with bands like, Mr. Big or Ace Frehley, right? These days, right? But he said at first it was so weird, just kind of hobnobbing with these guys. He wanted the gig, obviously, but the priority first and foremost was just build that relationship and maybe do a jam session or something like that. So
yeah, because you're never going to make that. The first impression is definitely, goes a long way and stuff, but it's all the follow-up stuff and being able to show that you can stick with it and stick with the person and get to know them. It's that's one of the other things, just being able to talk to these people and talk to them about not just the project. It's talk about where they're coming from, what's happening in their lives. Like it's really that personal connection. Really got to milk that.
Totally agree. Yeah, and you have to get better at keeping in touch with people.
Totally.
I definitely learned that from Derek Sivers. I'm working on it. I have to improve my processes. But the thing is, we all go through these periods of hermiting.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I just came out of one of those because I was working on my 5th book. And for months on end, right? It could have been done sooner, but I think I just wanted to fine-tune it and make it good and make it something that people want to pick up. So you could have the best music, the best merch, the best book in the world, and if people don't know who you are, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good. And from there, it's about getting out there.
And it's all like you're going to have the high days, and you're going to have the low days. There's days where you're basically, I come out of my studio going, I'm flying on cloud 9. I can do anything. I can do no wrong. The director loves all my stuff, blah, blah, blah. And there's other days where it's like, oh my God, the work's dried up. I'm useless. I'm worthless. What the hell? Yeah. Should I even be doing this anymore? Kind of thing. So you're going to go through the highs and the lows, but it's just like, keep going at it.
I've experienced burnout at a pretty severe level too. Yeah. Like a couple of years ago, I went to Japan and took 2 weeks off, and that was like super needed. But do you have those moments too where you're just like, I can't even wake up and feel, like have energy to do anything?
Oh yeah, and the coffee doesn't wake you up.
Good luck, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you just have to drag yourself. I think that's the whole blank page syndrome as well. You probably get this as a writer as well. It's like you're just staring at, I've got a film, I've got to do something with this. Where do I start? And you're just looking at this mountain of work that is ahead of you, and you don't know. Everything you try to get the juices going, it doesn't work.
The ouch moment for me is usually just like, I'll wake up, I'll pull up the blank page, and I'll get some words out, but it'll be so slow going, right? And that's the point at which I know that like I'm beyond tired and exhausted.
Yeah.
But that's the create on demand world, and gradually I'll be moving away from that because that's just encouraging more hermiting in my life, right? Is to be the create on demand writer guy, and I can charge good money for it, but I'm more interested in public speaking and representing a brand and sharing and all that. So yeah. Hey, thanks for listening to part 1 of my conversation with Dave Chick. Part 2 is coming next week, so stay tuned. And until next time, I'm David Andrew, and I look forward to seeing you on the stages of the world. Thank you for listening. Music in this episode was brought to you by Brian Young. Wherever you're listening to this right now, please consider leaving a 5-star review and comment to help us get the word out about the podcast.